What's up, everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Craven. All right, guys, so I'm still kind of updating builds, along with Morrowind updates. I'm very busy, 2 platforms, 16 characters, a lot to take in. But today, I want to go ahead and get the update for my Tesla Coil build. I love this build, especially even with some of the changes. It has a lot of flexibility, high damage output, and I can't really say too much because the build is just that devastating. It really packs a nice punch. I love this build. Niches has become really popular with Morrowind update. They say it's the meta, but the fact of it is, guys, a niche has been powerful even prior to Morrowind. I was running Niche live, was getting a lot of backlash, but there was a reason, because it was, pushing out a lot of damage towards my shock-based abilities. And with the Morrowind changes, no exception to the rule. It comes in strong, it packs a wallop, and I'm going to add that with the elegance, and I'm going to give you a build today that's going to be a testament of the type of builds that I put out. They're playing catch up, but you know what? It's been here all along, and I'm going to go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead on the dual wield side, and you're going to see my max Magicka at 41,794, slightly under 42k. A lot of people are going to be like, well, Necropotence is pretty strong, and it is, but this does not have a pet. It's a non-pet build, so this is going to be really good, and I'm going to get into why. Magicka recovery, you're going to see, is at 1,303. It's really important with these changes to keep resource management under control. Even through heavy attacks, you can go ahead and spam a lot of abilities, but I'm going to be using Magicka, so Magicka recovery even becomes a lot more, even though I'm going to sacrifice spell damage from the glyph. What this really does for me, though, is be able to proc Kina a lot more frequently. Okay, so max health is slightly under what I typically like. I usually like to stay around 19.5 to 20k. But with the Sorcerer, I'm going to be using the power, the critical surge. So I'm going to be healing as I'm doing critical damage. So the 19k, I'm pretty comfortable with the Sorcerer. I just can't afford to get, take a lot of heavy hits with this build. But if you want to go ahead and run a ward, feel free, but this build does not have a ward. Spell damage without any buffs or builders is sitting at 2,114, and my spell crit is at 59.1. Now, also, if you take a look to the left, you're going to see my Magicka allocated at 55, and my health allocated at 9, and the Mundus we're going to be running is the Thief. Okay, now on the staff side, now this is going to be the electric, the shock staff, so you're going to see nothing's really changed except spell damage. All right, so Magicka recovery is the same, max Magicka is roughly the same, and of course our max health is roughly the same. The only thing drop we see is in spell damage. All right, now let me go ahead and get into the gear, and then I'll get into the skills. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be running the Niche's Touch along with the Elegant set in Kina. Now, I'll go over this and tell you what pieces I have and what pieces I need. Okay, so I have the Deadly Pincer, which is part of the Niche's Touch set. What this set does for you is it gets 664 spell crit, it gives you max Magicka, it gives you spell damage, and also adds 386 spell damage to your shock damage abilities. Now, you're going to see on Destro, I don't have this unlocked. I have the Elegance for the 5-piece, but when I switch out, then I have both. And I'm going to explain why I have that set up that way. All right? But that's how that sets up. It's ideal. It's powered trait at the moment, but I want decisive. All right? I'm looking for decisive, and I have this glyphed with crushers. Ideally, in a perfect world, I would take the crushers off and I would put increase on there. But unfortunately, I don't know if tanks are running crushers. Ideally, I run crushers on all my tanks. So you can, when it applies, it has a cooldown. Crushers don't stack, all right? You can't keep stacking the crusher effect, because that applies to the target. Once that target gets hit with the crushers, right, everybody can hit 5 crushers, but you don't know when it's cycling in and out. That's the problem with crushers. So crushers is great, and I put it on here because I don't want it to drop off. So I'll use crushers. But if the tank already has crushers, I'd probably want increase instead. But I would tell you guys to run crushers unless you know for sure that your guild tank has crushers. Then you might want the increase. This is supposed to be decisive, not sharpen, not precise. It's supposed to be decisive. I will explain why. So this is not ideal. Elegant sword, decisive, crushers. This is ideal. Okay. The reason I want decisive is because when I gain ultimate, I have a 17% chance to gain one additional ultimate. Of course, I also had the staff in decisive, but as you can see, I have 34% chance, and that's why I need the other sword in decisive. I want a higher chance to keep capping up my ultimate. Okay, so once again, that's crushers, and the staff is in increase. So I have the swords in crushers and my staff in increase. All right, so I also have Magicka's mask, infused, max magicka, medium, because I want to keep that undaunted passive to 6%. So this is ideal. Once again, we know what Magicka does. It gives us 129 spell damage, 129 weapon damage. When I deal damage with 2 consecutive light attacks, I trigger overkill for 6 seconds, which increases your weapon and spell damage by 516, but also increases the cost of your abilities by 20%. All right. Also, we have the Elegant Jerkin, Infuse, Max Magicka. Now, Elegance, we know what this does. It gives us 127 spell damage. Max Magicka increases light and heavy attack damage by an additional 20%. I love this set. I love it, especially with Sorcerer and the Kina. With the power overload, it hits like a freight train. Trust me, I love it. Love this setup. All right, so that's ideal. Kina, heavy armor, shoulders, divine, glyph max health, ideal. Sash of Niche's Touch, max magicka, divine, ideal. Elegant gloves, divine, max magicka. Elegant breachers, infused, max magicka. Elegant shoes, divine, max magicka. And then we have the Niche's Touch necklace, glyph spell damage. Niche's Touch ring, glyph return. And another Niche's Touch ring, glyph return. Okay, now we'll go ahead and get into the skills. On the staff side, I'm using Power Surge. Okay, so I'm not going to be using a builder. I'm just going to use the buff. If you want to go ahead and go with, Degeneration, it's perfect. It'll give you Might of the Guild buff, which gives you the Empower. Or you can use Pots. I'm not going to use either on this video, but you're going to get that 20% increase. I would suggest if you want to, you can. I just like the Power Surge on this, because I'm going to go ahead and get the heal. Okay, so you get a heal with Degeneration, but I like this. The duration's a little bit longer. But if you want to go with Degeneration, by all means, feel free to do that. Okay, we have the Haunting Curse. Now, sometimes I switch this out. I will actually use, if nobody's using, for example, Ellie Drain, sometimes I'll switch Ellie Drain out just to sustain. So that's the nice thing about this build. It has flexibility. It all depends what you're doing, especially in your party situation. But, a lot of people, got on me about, you need more damage output. The damage output was fine. But the question of it is, I think that most people weren't really happy with the layout a lot better. And then sometimes I'll also actually put Pulse in here instead too. Because I like to run up the combo with the Wrath, and then the Pulse drops them to 10%, procs the Wrath faster, boom, and they're done. But I want to just put the Haunting Curse in here just to kind of, satisfy people. But, I have it. It's on here. So I have the Haunting Curse. I have the Unstable Wall of Storms. I use this in a lot of my Magicka builds. The Bound Armor. The reason being it's going to give us the Max Magicka. We're all pretty much familiar with this. I'm going to be morphing this. I don't have this morph. So, but yeah. So I have that. I also have the Inner Light. And I have the Thunderous Rage on this bar. I typically don't use it though, but it's on here. So if you wanted to put Meteor on here, you could do that. That's fine. On the dual bar, I have my Liquid Lightning. Now this is where it gets interesting, guys, because keep in mind, this is where my niche stacks with my Elegance. So I want to maintain as much shock-based abilities as possible. Now I can't put Unstable Wall on my dual bar. It's not going to work. So that's why I'm going to go ahead, put the Liquid Lightning over here. I'm going to use the Mage's Wrath. That's also going to deal lightning damage. And I'm also going to keep the Crystal Frags over here just for the proc. When I see a proc, I can throw it. Now, a lot of times I don't like using Crystal Frags because I'd like to keep the power overload generated. So I'll usually run a shield here, the Empowering Ward, increasing my regen rate. But a lot of people don't like that as well. So once again, I Just put it in here just to, you know, kind of sedate people and be like, okay, yeah, you can do this. But I usually like keeping power overload up at all times. So if I want to regen faster, keep the Kina procced up, then use my power overload more frequently, I'll replace the, you know, the frag. But if you want to use frag and you want to hit hard up front, there it is. That's your options. Of course, I got bound armaments on this side. I have my inner light. And of course, like I said, we're going to use the power overload. Now, here's the deal, guys. Power overload. I'm going to charge my fist with the power of the storm. My light attacks become lightning bolts, dealing 20,804 shock damage. Heavy attacks blast enemies, doing an AoE effect of 8,211. This bitch hits like a truck. Because when I go ahead and I hit my critical surge and I go over, now I'm dealing 22,000 base. Now add this with Warhorn Spell Power Cure, I'm hitting 50 like all the time. It's crazy. It's 50k about all the time. And what's even crazier, on my Twin Blade and Blunt, I don't have unlocked yet. So I'm still missing the 3% for my swords. So once I get that unlocked, nice. I don't play this tune a lot with dual swords. So yeah, it's pretty badass. Well, let's go over the champion points real quick. Okay, so this is how I set this up. The Elfborn, I have a nice amount of crits, you know, almost 60%. So we go on 15, 10 in Elfborn. Spell Erosion, now keep in mind, I'm not using Sharpen. I do have Penetration Light Armor passive of 4,884, but this is where I want to kind of offset this, and I want to take a Spell Pen up, keeping in mind my tank's probably going to apply Major Breach, or someone's going to use Ellie Drain and apply the Major Breach anyways. If I'm lucky and I get a Templar in there as well who applies Minor, then I get the best of both worlds in the boss encounters. But this is why I don't care about Sharpen. I put Erosion up, and, you know, I offset that difference. Going ahead with the Elemental Expert. It's not a true offset, but close enough. Where everything applies. I'm going to go ahead and increase my Magicka and shock damage by 10.15, but this is the big importance. I want to keep 75 into the Atronach. Why? Because I want the Butcher. Okay, I've explained this in my last Tesla Coil video. I want that extra 5% when the enemies hit below 25%, because what ends up happening, it is acting like a finisher. It's increasing. I usually wait till about the 30% mark. I hit the power overload and I go to town, clean it up, done and over with. So to keep this, I'm going to put a staff expert up to 9.17, and I'm going to put the Master of Arms over 21.18. Now I don't deal really a lot of dot effects, so nothing's going in over here. So this is all burst. Ironclad, 15.10 for reduction. I split the difference for 14 in a Hardy and Elemental Expert. I put a few points into the Thick Skin, 2.45. I just have some points, reduce some dot damage if it occurs. And I go ahead, and I always like my healing received. I like to keep some. I could have got this over 5, but quick recovery, 4.98. Warlord, I'm going to reduce my cost of my break freeze at 12.78. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the tenacity as much as possible. So it's at 13.85 because I'm going to be using a lot of heavy attacks with my Destro. That's where I want it. I want to recharge as fast as possible because I'm proccing Kina as fast. So I'm going to proc Kina, I'm going to lay down my abilities, and I'm going to weave it up. That's the whole part about this. And I'm going to use that decisive to go ahead and hit harder, faster. Increase my Magicka recovery with Arcanist by 14%, and healthy is at 7.50. If you don't want this much health recovery, you can bump up tenacity a little bit more or reduce some other costs. But I like my health recovery. Tumbling's at 1.49, and that is how the points are allocated in my champion system, you know, tomato. But all right, guys, another thing I want to go ahead and get into is the passives really quick here. Now let me see, where's that? I'm trying to think here. I want to say Power Stone, right? I'm going to go down to Power Stone. I'm going to reduce the cost of my ultimates by 15%, right, guys? The major thing about Sorcerer, and I run a Sorcerer tank. I love my Sorcerer tank because I use Decisive on my Sorcerer tank. He generates a lot of ultimate fast because I also use the Blood Spawn. and then I get the reduction, right? With the whole setup with this is just being able to build up the ultimate as fast as possible, and keeping in mind that you have reduction costs. This to me is the best of both worlds, so I'm going to want to use the decisive. A lot of people discard decisive. They think decisive's junk, but the problem of it is decisive isn't. You know, you can, if you have your crit value already over the 55 mark, which we do, and also we have the penetrating value set into the CP and in our passive, where is our other trait? We're not going to use precise. We're not going to really care about sharpen. So as a sorcerer, what is our other options? What do we want to take advantage of? We can use the infuse, which is true. It'll give us more in the enchantment. But where do we draw more from? Our ultimates. So why not go ahead and get those faster? We got the cost reduction, so get it faster and hit more frequently. That's my motto. But by all means, you can do what you want. It's your game, play to your style. All right? But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and see what the dailies are. See if I can get a queue and see if we can do this fast. I'm kind of in a hurry. I got a late start, but trying to do this as much as possible. Oh, that reminds me. Forget to turn on my combat buffs. Alrighty, going down. Yeah, it looks better. I like seeing my food buff.
Speak to me before entering more nerve system. Every day.
White gold tower. Definitely not gonna pug it. But I want it. Banished cells. I hope they still haven't fixed that, I don't think. Vaults of Madness. That's pretty cake. I think that's 2 on the banished cells, if I'm not mistaken. 1. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Vaults of Madness. Now keep in mind, guys, in a perfect world I'd have a tank with Pierce. Some like to use Ransack, but if I use, so long as I get Major Breach, I'm hoping somebody applies Major Breach. That's always what I'm hoping for. And that's why sometimes, like I said, I'll take the curse out and I will add the friggin' Ellie Drain. Believe it. Because the more I add the Ellie Drain, it'll just go ahead and keep feeding Kina for me. So now what I use, there we go. Now my rotation's not perfect by all means. Keep in mind, guys, I still oh my god, it didn't actually auto put me in there? It's amazing. Now, a lot of people are running pet builds these days. I can't see your comment. A lot of people are running pet builds these days, but you can completely get around it. I know a lot of people like that. See that max Magicka thing? I'm gonna fall anyways. Ow. Like I said, keep in mind my rotation is far from perfect. I play too many. I don't play this tune a lot on DPS. I usually use them as a healer a lot more frequently. A lot of people think it's cool, you know. See a Sorc healer, they're like, oh my god, it's so badass. I'm like, yeah. I was in a dungeon the other day and somebody asked me if I was in a trial guild. All my guild slots are taken and I do have a trial guild I'm in. But I don't roll a lot with I got problems with people. I don't deal with ignorance well. So when somebody comes in and they start talking and acting like they know what the fuck they're talking about, and really they're just spewing off what they've listened to from some other dumbass, then I chime in and then I go the fuck off on people, and it's not right. But that's why I don't typically, you know, play with people in trial guilds. You know, I don't deal with ignorance well at all. But then I got players who, you know, are like, dude, get the Sorc healer. It's so cool. It's so... I'm like, okay, yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. Yeah, I don't mind. Where is our healer? Something is weird. Oh, I'm impressed. Big pieces infused, small divine, and jewelry. I'm impressed. A lot of people are finally getting away from all the divine crap. Thank God. And the funny thing is, guys, this wasn't even new. Like, I didn't introduce none of this. What was nuts to me is, like, players, like, chose to ignore, like, what a lot of players were already saying in forums. Like, I would watch some of these YouTubers with, yo, tank, go, man. Now, the first thing you're going to head and see, I'm going to go ahead and proc... Okay, I always proc the Kina prior to the rotation. Okay, so I want to proc the Kina. I want that spell damage because I know I'm going to weave. Once I get everything laid down, that's when I want to go ahead and start weaving up the cost difference of what Kina just cost me. Same thing. Switch out, and then I'm going to weave up. Now this next boss might end up like fucking us. It usually drains somebody to death. Usually someone's always going to bite it in this first boss. I'm hoping it's not me, but we'll see. I'm trying to bank up as much overload as possible. Ah shit, I fucked up. Sometimes I can't see my hand so well either. Okay, I'm gonna wait for the tank to go, and I'm gonna, as soon as we clear these up. Ah, of course it's gotta be me. Oh, the healer's down. Could be bad. This could be very bad. This always happens. He's not applying Pierce. Get the Pierce on him quick so I can kill him. 43, 43, 42, 38. No Warhorn, no spell power on that. I don't think. Nope. Why is he wearing Sanctuary? He's got spell power on. Just must not have procced on that. Now usually what I'll do, that's why it's called the Tesla Coil. That's why I don't typically care about the frag so much. I usually try to keep everything procced up as much as possible. bitch. We have no Ellie drain or something's going on. He's running ransack. God dang it, I hate when they do that. Oh, I forgot to fucking clean out my bags from my last run yesterday. 1 second. Just trying to clear up some crap. God dang! Hold on. I'm getting pissed. Tanks with ransack. Never happened on me. Guarantee you he's running ransack. That's why I don't like ransack on my tanks. That's why it'll never happen on any of my tanks. Oh, why did I pick that up? Stick to the purple board. Fuck that. He's definitely using ransack. Fucking Nightblade. I need a clear shot, man. Hold this dude. Just put him in a corner somewhere, tank. I might end up putting it on myself. The healer's dead. This tank isn't holding aggro for shit. There's the ransacks. I can't stand the fact that I ain't got major breach on here. 42k should be about 46. Such a fucking difference. I'm gonna kick somebody's ass. Tanks not using a major breach pierce these days. It's just crazy. None of our tanks do it. All of our tanks don't. None of our tanks run ransack. Maybe wardens, but DKs, no. None of them will. And matter of fact, I can't deal with it. I want that extra damage on my power overload. So like I said, this is sometimes where I will be putting in the Ellie Drain. Because for me, I need that extra damage output during those boss encounters. Healer's not going to run it, and the tank isn't going to use the pierce. Fuck it. I'm going to. I don't care about mobs. But I have another Sorc in here. Magicka Sorc. I'll be damned if our DPS is suffering because of other people. It's not going to happen. Now sometimes I will use my ultis on my Destro ulti on mobs like this. Fucking Nightblades, man. Too spread out, not worth it. Let's go. Dude, just go. Another reason I like this is I like to weave up as much ultimate as fast as possible. Weaving's going to help me do that. Oh snap. Okay, I'm going to try to get this down to about 30. There it is, 43. You need a war horn. Whatever. Does he have a... Am I getting a spell power cure buff? It looks like he has a set on. Sanctuary, he's running Sanctuary, but what other set is he running? Might not be getting that spell power cure buff. Let me actually take out that skill. We'll see what's up. I like to play around with it. Up. gotta quit picking up some shit. I can get rid of that. I don't give a fuck about the staffs. Anybody see what hit me? Was it an invisible Daedra or something? God. Frigate. About 24. I'm getting... Damn it. I know I want that. Rattle cage infuse. Don't be a hoarder, guys. I'm a gear hoarder. Damn it. Okay. Really? Oh, I hate ads. Let's go, let's go. Go tank. Go tank. You can do it. Turn him. Okay, about 45. I'll go ahead and proc up. war horns, come on. 42. God, it'd be nice to get a war horn right now. Can I get a witness? Trying to figure out what else I want to get rid of here. I'll get rid of the health potions. Sure. Gotta junk something. Now, fuck it. 49. $46. Let it down now. Got my 49 off. Usually, if it runs consistent, I can. I don't even know if it's worth scrapping anything for at this moment. I got tons of stuff. I'm a pack rat, guys. I'm sure, yeah. I like money, but might have to get rid of it after all. I just want that. Sometimes I just die during this fall. I don't know how, but you'd think I'd hit the water every time, but sometimes I just don't. Yeah, I got 149k off. Once I get that 3% and I get in organized play, I'll be hitting about 50k consistently. Like my dudes, we were running this yesterday, and they got their rotations down. Like doom, doom, doom. And then I was hitting like 46, 47 constantly. Boom, boom, boom. It was amazing. Loved it. Loved it. Let's go. on, you tank. Yo. Scroll. Did it! We did it! Just... Drawn up. Just trash and burn them down. There it is, guys. I think a couple missed opportunities, in my opinion. Reinforced, whatever. Definitely didn't get as many war horns as what I would typically be accustomed to. You know, I wasn't sure. Let me know if anybody saw Spell Power Cure buff. I wasn't sure if it was applying or not. I didn't see it. So that's going to be a factor as well. So, you know, as you guys seen, I can get up to about almost 50k without my passives for the Twin Blade and Blunt. Once I hit that and you get a constant, you can hit 50k pretty consistently, about between 46 to 50k between Warhorn and Spell Power Cure and everything. Once everything's applied, it's like almost 50k every day, all day. Boom, 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 boom. But, you know, once again, this is a pug. It is what it is. But we got through it. You guys got to see my rotation, how I lay down, how I go ahead and set up. I don't use a lot of abilities, but I like to weave in between, and I like to take advantage of the decisive. It's very, very important for this build. Because once again, once Major Breach and Minor Breach, if Minor Breach is applied, but usually typically when Major Breach is applied, I have the cut of the differences in light armor passives, in champion points, and the the breach is to apply the penetration. So, and I have the crit value in the Thief Mundus, so the best option for me to maximize my DPS for my ultimate overload with the Kina is using that decisive trait. So a lot of people will never tell you to use decisive, but this is the one case scenario where decisive works towards your advantage. You're building up ultimate a lot faster, you're able to proc a lot harder and get it up there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Once again, always, I want to thank you for watching and have a nice day.